Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to day 2 of the EU Green Deal Make It Real conference taking place here in Brussels. It's great to see many of you in the audience, and also a big welcome to all those who are connecting into these sessions or via the live stream from across Europe and beyond. My name is Peter Woodward, independent moderator with a passion for sustainability. So I'm excited to be here this morning, being part of a conversation around the circular economy. A circular economy has been discussed for many years, and we are making progress on that. That challenge of moving from a linear world where we produce, use and throw away things into creating a true circularity. One of the key things that is being realized, that it is the point of design when we actually conceive and think of products, that the opportunity to integrate sustainability thinking into that product, into that design, is the crucial element that actually will ensure that that journey of sustainability, of circularity, has the best chance of enduring. And work has been going on within the European Commission, particularly to really put some flesh on the bones of this concept. And this morning we will be discussing particularly issues related to the eco-design for sustainable products, regulation, and everything that means. I have a great lineup of speakers and panelists that I will introduce as we go through the morning. You can see them on the program, exactly who they are and what they do. And you can also contribute to the conversation. If you've connected into the Slido app, you can ask a question, and if we have time and it's appropriate, I'll see if I can bring it into that conversation. So, circularity is the name of the game. It's easy, it's obvious and easy to say, circular economy. The reality is complex and different, because we do have an embedded system that is really quite linear. The other challenge we face is, goodness me, hang on a minute, there are some real issues all around us at the moment. Not least, we have the crisis in Ukraine. We are dealing with a huge energy issue. The cost of living is surging. We are emerging from a pandemic. Goodness me, there are enough things for us to be interested, concerned, and prioritizing. So part of this morning is thinking, have we got space for this as well? And really, right at the start of this, delighted that we're able to get a political perspective, seeing where is this the right time that we should be really surging forward, trying to embed issues of circularity and particularly the design concept into what is an overstuffed program of activity that's taking place. And I'm delighted this morning we're joined at the start by Pernille Weiss, who's going to offer us a political perspective. She's a member of the European Parliament, based in Denmark, member of the EPP and of the Conservative Party, and has a keen interest, in all affairs that affect citizens, but also very much in terms of environmental and sustainability issues. So, Pernille, great to have you with us. And is this the time that we should be talking about this issue?
Yes. And I'm not saying yes, not only because we agreed that I should do, but also because it really is. Okay. Good morning. I'm Pernille Weiss. As announced, I come from Denmark. I'm the middle in my life. I started out as a nurse, but also have had a career as an entrepreneur, working on evidence-based design in healthcare. So how do we design our physical environment in order to make it work for the patients, for the families, and for the caregivers? So that is my backbone of knowledge that I now use as a politician in the European Parliament. I'm situated in the committees on environment and public health, ENVI, and also in the committee of ITRA, energy, research and industry. And that is a wonderful combination of committee work in order to actually make this Green Week be the Green Decade of Europe, because it is so timely. We have seen that now from all the evidence about how our globe is suffering from 30 years of overconsumption. Globalization is good for a lot of things, but also now we actually carry around the burdens of challenges that we need to address. So therefore, of course, today and this week is very, very important in order for us all to come closer to what is actually the core roots of the situation, and how do we make the linear approach to our consumption to be circular. That's not easy, because a lot of regulation is actually designed to act in a very linear and also straightforward way. So how do we do that? And how do we also do it in a time where we have to realize that globalization is good, open market economy is good for the quality, for the price, for the accessibility of a lot of goods that we want in our modern society, but also that we need to address the environmental impacts that we, by that, is producing. I'm right now working as a rapporteur on the recast of the waste shipment regulation. That is indeed a very old regulation, but also a very linear one. And I want it to be redesigned to really be open and circular. Because also what I hope to hear today, this morning, is input on how we can do that, so that also the EU, in the way that we do the waste shipment regulation, but also the waste management directive that are right now being implemented in the national member states, the way we work on the eco-design directive, but also the announcement from the Commission on Sustainable Economy. How do we use these different toolboxes of regulations and incentives, etc., in the best possible way to redesign the ecosystem of our consumption? And there, the textile, as is today's topic, a very, very interesting and relevant area to focus on. I hope that also today and this Green Week will help us to realize that we have a lot of good intentions. I don't question that. I don't doubt that everybody who is trying to contribute to a more sustainable, more circular society, both within the EU and in the global perspective, that they really want to do good. But what we also need to accept is the fact that we still know too little about the big ecosystem, but also what are the right questions to ask, what are the needed research and innovation to be done, not only in technologies and practices, but also more into the essence of how we go back to the core roots of what makes product development and the usage of product be as best as possible, not only for our time on this earth, but also for the next coming generations. So, all other colleagues right now this week in EPP are in Rotterdam, because the big party is having its Congress at last in physical presence. I chose to stay in Brussels to be here this morning, and I look very, very much forward to listen to the input that will come from the experts, but also the questions coming from you. And also, I would very much also like everybody who has something on your heart, on your mind, on your desk, on your shelves, after this Green Week, where you think that I can be of any help, knowing now that I work both in the ITRA and the ENVI committee exactly on these issues here, that you address me either by email or wherever you can find the European Parliament's many colleagues of mine. Also, I would actually like to also underline and invite for those of you who have input to a more arm's length to policymakers research requests. Because I'm a member now of the think tank of STOA, nobody knows what that is, but it's actually a big chunk of money and good intentions of a collected little group of colleagues in the European Parliament who can take initiatives on the missing links for technology assessments, for research in depth. And I know that after this Green Week, there will hopefully be a good short list of, yes, we need to know more about X, Y, Z. And I really, really want to use also the toolbox of STOA, since I am a member there, also to activate that. Because all good intentions also pave the road to hell. We know that. Intentions are also good excuses for not changing. I think we should show the next coming generations, but also our past and the legacy that we hold together as Europeans, that we collect our forces together and really make EU also be the role model for the change in circularity in Europe, but also with ripple effects to the rest of the globe. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful green day in this green week, in this green decade. Thank you.
Pernille, thank you very much indeed, and expect an avalanche of emails coming into your inbox. One of the things that is so clear is that politicians that get it, that have that conviction, not just to say, oh, well, let's do this, but to really analyse and think through what is the way of creating that pathway forwards. That is the leadership within Europe that will help Europe become a leader in the world around issues of sustainability and particular circular economy. It's important now that we maybe just take a few moments to dig a bit deeper. The European Commission has been working hard over many years around putting frameworks and thoughts together on circular economy and speaking to many people and stakeholders in that process. And now the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products regulation is coming through, lots of announcements this year. And to offer us all something of a briefing on what is emerging, the rationale for it and some of the elements, and very much the fact that this is work in progress as well. Delighted that we are joined this morning by the Director General of DG Environment, just one of the DGs that is committed to this crucial this critical agenda. So please welcome to the platform Frederica Fink-Høie.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter, for the introduction, and good morning. And I'm happy to see that we still have, despite all the difficulties this morning in the town, we have an audience, and of course, online. You mentioned in the very beginning, don't we have so many crises? Is there time for it? And when we said the slogan, make it real, actually with this proposal, the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation, it's just a mouthful, we want to make it real. We want to make really a transformation, a systemic change. And circularity, we already discussed that for a long, long time, because it's about reducing the carbon footprint, the environmental footprint, the resource depletion will be, lowered. It is about energy saving, about all of this. But we have also noticed that actually at this very moment where everybody says, oh, we are overwhelmed, circularity is now sinking in much better, and it is actually much better understood, because not only we have supply chain problems coming out from COVID, but also because of the Ukraine crisis and the Russian aggression in Ukraine. Because everybody out of a sudden understood, oh, we need to cut dependencies. We need to potentially work on strategic autonomies. And actually then, for a lot of people, they understood going circular can make just that. And to be honest, whether it's because you want to lower your environmental footprint or your carbon footprint or your hazardous material footprint, or going for, let's say, strategic autonomy, you go circular. And that's why our proposal now is really going for this transformative real change, systemic change. Pernille just said it, and it is actually remarkable. She is not from the Environmental Committee. She is from the Internal Market Committee. And when we produced this proposal, we actually worked with a lot of DGs together, with the DG Energy, with GROW and others, because we need a holistic approach. And we also realized that we base ourselves, the best is on, there's some extra, I hope it's not me, some extra noise, and we will base ourselves on what is called a Trusted Eco-Design Directive, which was about lowering the energy resource uptake or going for energy efficiency. But that's not enough. So now, as I said, we want to lower the carbon and the environmental footprint in particular. So we use that, but we turn it into regulation because we want to have a level playing field for everybody and a clear, if you want to go for systemic change, you need to go for very clear rules. Now, the idea is to make sustainable products the norm over time. We know it's not going to happen overnight, but over time. And it is really good also for growth, and it is actually embraced by investors, and it is embraced actually by industry, because there's a lot of advantages in it for them, but for us also for the consumer, and most of all for the environment. Now, making the sustainability the norm means you have to start, as Peter was saying, from the design phase. 80% of all the features are coming from the design phase. And that's where we looked at that. Now, how do we go about? We want to look at product requirements and information requirements. And this proposal is, first of all, a framework. Later, we will go and regulate much more specific types of products that are very energy or carbon intensive, but which have that potential of being very circular. That could be textiles, we would heard that, but it could be all types of consumer goods, but it can also be building material, it can be steel, it can be whatever. But we are not yet there. We now first have to get this proposal through, so the legislator, but we also have to make sure that we get it right, and we have to explain the principles. So now, what are these requirements on the product? You might have heard about all these different ideas of principles of durability. A product should last. It should last longer, because then you don't need to go buy a new one and waste the old one. Lasting longer means you have a guarantee for the lifetime span, whatever it is. It can be 5 years, can be 10 years. But if you just think about a very practical example, a washing machine. If you were just managing to get the producer of washing machines to make them last 5 years longer, it's not that much, it would save an enormous amount, millions of tons of CO2. And that means we go less quickly into the waste stream. Now, lasting longer is one thing, durability. But then you have repairability. Are there spare parts? Can a product be repaired? Which is quite annoying when you know that it's actually a small thing that is hampering the machine to work, and you could potentially fix it, or somebody could fix it for you. So repairability, upgradability, reusability, resource efficiency, be it a material uptake, be it energy uptake, all these are the principles that we want to embed in a product, and these are the product features, the product requirements that we are asking for. Then you have information requirements. These are also quite important, because by knowing what's in a product, what is, for instance, the recycled content, what is type of hazardous, hopefully less and less and less material in, it is important. It is important if you want to break it down afterwards, if you want to repair it, if you want to upgrade it or reuse it. Because if a worker is, for instance, for recyclability, dismantling it, you need to know what is in it. It could be dangerous, right? So the information requirement, very important. But of course, by that, we also lift, for instance, the uptake of recycled materials. There's one example I think you all are aware of, the destruction of unsold goods. I think we, unfortunately, all are a little bit sinners sometimes. I reduce this a lot, but we had it in COVID, to buy online. When you buy online and then it's not, you bring it back, a lot of these goods are destructed. So in that proposal now, we are going for an information requirement. The producer has to explain whether or not and how many of these products are discarded, destroyed, or potentially given to charity, or reused, or upgraded. That's the first step. And then in the second step, when we go for very product-specific proposals, be it for, as I said, textiles or anything else, consumer goods, then it might be that we even go to a ban on destruction of goods, on unsold goods. And that is, of course, depending. Everything has to be seen regarding the requirements of that specific product. What we are now putting forward is a framework. And we have to get it through first. And I hope everybody, and I'm listening also a little bit to Pernilla, that everybody will help us to get it through, because it's now the time that we get it through, have to get it through. For industry, it's not so easy, because going circular, what does it mean? And I know Jan will afterwards speak about what is the hubs, the circularity hubs that we want to create as well, because we need to have best practice. But the layout, the groundwork for how to go and what is a sustainable product is what we have put forward in our proposal. And in the meantime, well, it takes normally almost 2 years for a proposal from the Commission to be adopted and then afterwards also implemented, translated into reality by member states. It takes sometimes 2 years at best. We will use that time now to work already on the different product categories and to identify, and this is where we want to hear also from you, which type of products which we should look at first. So I think this is a little bit the outline, and I hope you understand better a little bit why this is so transformative, but it is really making the Green Deal real. So thank you very much.
Frederica, thank you very much indeed. I mean, thank you to your team for all the work that they are doing. This is early doors, early stage. Check into the websites to find out more about what is going on. And we're still in that phase of developing processes and programs, so great opportunity to contribute further thinking. This pathway is not easy, but if we're all committed to it, we will find the way through. Delighted to say we're already getting some questions, thoughts coming through on Slido. Do send them through. I think we've also got people looking at Slido, so they may be able to answer your questions without them coming through the stage, as inevitably we're short of time for the actual discussion. But do please keep them coming through. So if we are to achieve this transition at pace and scale, and in a way that ensures that we have sustainable business activity, we need new business models, we need new forms of collaboration. We are all, as they say, on this journey of transition. And to explore this a little bit further, we've probably got one of the best brains who's been thinking around these issues and exploring them to offer some further thoughts. Delighted that we're joined by Professor Jan Jonker. He's Professor of Sustainable Entrepreneurship in the Institute of Management at Radboud University in the Netherlands. More significantly, he's written extensively on this whole issue of circularity, sustainability, new business models, and delighted that we're joined this morning. Always good to have a professor to offer us a lecture. This one is a very important one because we still need to really get what we're trying to achieve and the many challenges it faces. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the platform, Jan Jonker.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. The sound is on, and thank you very much for this warm introduction also by Pernilla and Florica. It's really good to be here because this is the introduction of the DG. This is an important moment, and I hope that by 2030 you will say, I was there, because it will take some time to make it work. And the committee asked me to explain a little bit how we might make this work. So the bottom line is we are now on a journey to make products that are designed to last. We are going to abandon the principle of obsolescence. I've heard many principles this morning, but this one is important. We are going to abandon, and we are going to develop step by step, product group by product group, new products that are designed to last. And I'm very honored that I can stand here for this sacred 15 minutes, so please bear with me. We live in rapid, fast, unclear times, and still it is very important that we talk more and more about the circular economy, because even though the circular economy was invented in 1972, it really now matters to start thinking about new products and new concepts. Yes, this is a horrible picture, and in normal times I would spend about an hour explaining this picture, but the essence here is circular economy is about system change. From design, through use, through keeping things in the loop. That's the essence of everything, and it means that we design on the basis of loop and principles within this loop. Without wanting to exaggerate, I think 90-something%, I'm trying not to be negative, 98%, I'm trying not to be negative, of all products that at present are at the market are not designed on that principle. So for the next, say, 20 years, there's a lot of work ahead, because for many people now working on the circular economy, it's like trying to get things fixed together, but they are not fixed together when it comes to institutional changes and what have you. So to introduce you into this concept, I try to give 3 small items. One, we will talk briefly about business models, because in my opinion, business models are the engine, are the fuel for change. Second, we need an institutional network, and I'm very happy you already got an introduction to this institutional network, but still some elements should be maybe a little bit reinforced. And finally, third element, we are on a journey that is called transition. So the key issue is, how do we shape transition? But first, let's talk a little bit about business models. Business models are logics to create value. And the circular economy, in its conceptual idea, are all about creating lasting value. Call it servitization, call it longevity, call it whatever you want to call it, recycling even, that's an old-fashioned word. Even that is the essence. So it's about the logic of value creation, a logic that is organized by people. We call them very often companies, but it can be organized by all different parties. We even talk about community-based business models. We talk about circular business models. We talk about platform business models, what have you. And the essence is value creation. Value creation, not simply because we make money, but value creation in a much broader sense. We call it multiple value creation. So we create social inclusivity. We work on biodiversity that is embedded in this concept. And if we try to understand what is possible, the Dutch government, and in particular the Ministry of Economic Affairs, whose representative is here today, ordered me to make a classification of possible business models, and we dug and we made an inventory, and we said, well, for the moment we have 5 large groups of business models: resource models, design models, lifetime extension models, platform and product as a service models. But in essence, and this is why I'm very, very pleased with the words of Pernilla, that more research is needed, the standard academic sentence. We need to investigate in what it means to have these models. And then comes in the eco-design concept, which means a shift, if you want, a transition from material transactions, buying a loaf of bread, to life cycle responsibility. In all honesty, most people don't have a clue what this means. How do you manage a business that has lifetime responsibility for a battery, for a jacket, for a piece of highway, a brick? How does it work? So this is where the real changes come in. And this is what we need to understand through more research, but not for the sake of research, but for creating concepts that create value. Well, if we analyze the proposal of the committee, of which I am a great fan, but not without being critical, because there are two elements always in this discussion, then we see a kind of end-of-life models. Why do we see these models? Well, even if today the whole of Europe would decide to start working in the circular economy, it would take until 2040 before we have enough stocks and flows of materials to circularize the economy. So whatever happens, we need 15 years to get somewhere. And at the same time, what the committee is proposing are life cycle models. And the concept of life cycle models is the opposite of a take, make, waste economy. In other words, we have a conceptual journey, a journey that will take us to somewhere where we do not know the answer. In other words, we are looking at a whole landscape of questions for which, yes, indeed, more research is needed. Now, the European Commission is step by step, in a very smart way, putting in place a EU policy framework. This is not the full framework, because then we need 2 or 3 hours to discuss everything, but it is the Eco-Design Directive, mark the word. It frames the thing, and around that thing we see on the one hand all kind of supporting mechanisms, and on the other hand we see the Sustainable Product Initiative. And do not forget on the one hand, extended producer responsibility and the digital material passport. In my opinion, the digital passport could be the key thing, the pivotal thing that might make this concept of life cycle responsibility work. Because we are moving towards something which I have labeled tagging, tracing, tracking and tracing. In other words, we move towards following products, but also materials their entire lifetime. We start to tag a washing machine, a piece of highway, and even a brick. And it means that if you look at specific products and products group, we tag the product at the beginning, we see how it is used, and then we get online product information. And yes, I'm quite aware that if we open up this box of tagging and tracing, we will have a series of very important privacy problems on our hands. Because this is not going to happen like this. Because I don't know how you think about it, but I do not want to know I do not want to share information on my toothpaste in my bathroom, on how I use and how often I brush my teeth. So we have a series of very serious problems to go, and I'm very happy with examples like washing machines, because I think we should start in there. The consequence of this directive is that besides the Internet of Services and the Internet of Things, which we already had for the last, 30 years, we are now moving towards something that I've called the Internet of Materials. It's unavoidable. If we want to circularize, if we want to stimulate longevity, we need to understand the life of materials. So we get an Internet of Materials, which will enable us to really translate circularity and transparency and sustainability in the life cycle, not the value chain, the life cycle of products. If we move in this direction, I think, and if we really want the circular economy to be something that will last, not a whimsicality, as the English would say, as something that is here today and gone tomorrow, we need to accept that we will move into a period of transition. leading to very difficult questions in all and of all sorts. So let me show you very quickly how we can think about that transition. We are in today's economy. Many people forget, but not here today, but in real life, often we forget that we have to move away from the present economy. We have to redesign a different economy, but we don't have a concept of that economy. That's important to state. We don't know what we will get when we move away. So we move away from the present economy. We need experience, we need examples, we need pilots, we need not simply a business pilot, but regional pilots or inter-country pilots or sectoral pilots, but serious upscale pilots to learn on the basis of projects, and especially when it comes to developing business models. Often this will start with competition, but in the essence of transition, we need to move to non-competitive collaboration. That sounds very blah, 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 as the French would say, but it's important to understand that the only way we are getting somewhere is to create an economic level playing field, not only by directives, but also by saying, gee, if we solve together this problem, we will be in business. And that finally will lead to a new level playing field. And in all honesty, what I'm showing here is a process of at least 15 years, but if I'm honest, let's talk again in 2050. So we're roughly here now. And we start to experiment, but I invite the committee, I invite the DG, I invite the European Parliament to invest in transition through a new generation of business modeling. Because if we don't create value, and if it's not collective, it's not shared, and if it's not multiple, this whole thing is not going to work. One very promising announcement of the European Committee is to create a series of EU circular business hubs. Yeah, I had to exercise to pronounce this correctly in one sentence. But it implies that across Europe we will have centers of expertise, because a business model in, say, Latvia is not the same as a business model in Oporto. We need to learn on the one hand, and the other hand, business models are contextualized constructs. So I'm very happy with this whole idea of making a trans-European network of hubs. I had a very good discussion about the first 300 consultants already working in this field. But in all honesty, if they would have said we have 3,000 consultants or we have 25,000 consultants, I would even be more happy. But that's about the future. Let me wrap up in the last 1.5 minutes. Sustainability is not a natural thing. It doesn't grow on trees. It needs to be organized systematically for the next, say, 15 to 25 years. So hang on, hang in there, help us make it happen. And there's a golden triangle, I think, that might create this transition. First, it is we need a framework to shape institutional conditions. And the committee is working on that. And yes, it will take time, but bear with them. Second, we need this network of people working on the ground with businesses. And finally, we need absolutely a database, an open access, accessible, free, without costs, an open access database of best practices when it comes to all these directives, such as SPI, but also many other business models. So my invitation, my call is, let's set up a trans-European research. Maybe we start small with a pilot, but we need to do that now so that we can fuel the transition. If we don't fuel it by creating value, it's not gonna work. So I'll finish with a classical Dutch Delftsblue tile. The transition only comes about when we collectively, in the process of transition, create value. Thank you very much, and bear with each other.
Jan, thank you so much. And if we can bottle some of that insight connected with the energy and passion with which you deliver it, and we can maybe infuse that across the boardrooms, the council chambers, the political frameworks, then surely we must be on to something, because I can think of 101 reasons why it might not work, but I can also think there are 101 reasons why it must work. And if we can find that collaborative spirit, maybe to say, let's make this happen, then the possibilities are really there. But thank you very much for those insights. In the second half of our conversation, or about 20 minutes left, I'm delighted that we're joined by three panelists who are going to offer some one or two brief insights. This very much is just a kind of what's going on. And I'm joined by Sandra Baldini, who's Chief Communication Officer at Refashion. Hello, Sandra, you are remote this morning, but feel very much among us. So hi, yes. Is your microphone working? Brilliant.
Yes, I think so.
That's fantastic.
Hello, everybody.
That's fantastic. Also joined by Sylvia Mara, who's the Sustainability Director of BEUC, which is the European Consumers Union. That's us sometimes. And also by Reet Aus, who's a fashion designer, ecopreneur, and upcycler extraordinaire from Estonia, one of those people who is one of these exciting irritants that's showing it is possible to make the change. So thank you all for joining us. I'm going to resume my position on the prayer mat. That's great. And I think, first of all, Sandra, I'd like to come to you. Really in this discussion, just want to get a sense there's a drive coming from Europe through the eco-design regulation. But maybe just very briefly, if you can explain the work that you're doing in France with Refashion, and also a reflection about that transition into really thinking about the design element of moving towards circularity. And unashamedly, this is a textile fashion element, partly because the textile strategy has come out this year. So why not? And also potentially because fashion appears to be probably the most unsustainable part of our entire ecosystem. So the challenge is on. Sandra, a few opening words from yourself.
Yes, so I represent this morning Refashion, which is the first and only fully established producer responsibility organization in Europe. So we've been existing for 13 years, and we've been running with all the issues and the goals that have been mentioned just before. The vision we're driven to is to make the fashion industry 100% circular. And our mission is to bring together all the stakeholders, as it's been mentioned, because this subject addressed all the product life cycle, concerns producer with production, concerns citizens with consumption, and concerns also industrial with recycling, with revaluing the waste. So it's a whole circle to address, and it's what we've been doing for 13 years. And this is the last year on the EPR scheme we know now, because we're gonna move forward a next one. Today, Refashion is only a financial PRO, but it's going to change to be a semi-operational. Meaning, if you need a quick way how it works, we take all the eco contributions of brands, and then we sustain and we put all support in sorting operators, but also in local communities that bring more information to citizens. And also we support innovations, as it's been mentioned, because innovation, of course, it's key. And eco-design for fabrication, as it's been mentioned also. So it's interesting to see that concerning the move we have to do together, the issue is so big that it's a move that we have to do all together. And we're really eager to share the key learnings we have here in France, and we want to build it a system that has to be harmonized between all countries to make it work and to keep the product responsibility to be efficient for everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a cheeky question, but I mean, you're in an amazing position with some extremely large players in the field. Is it your genuine feel that hearts and minds are really becoming wedded to this agenda, or are you a convenient player that we can talk to, but actually people are sort of doing business as usual?
No, because people are not doing any more business as usual, because you have new regulations coming in and you don't have a choice. You have to change your model. So it's coming up. For example, in 2023 in France, we have to support the repair, to repair all the items, all the footwear, and this is a main and huge move we're going to do, and also there's the pressure of the citizens concerning all we can see almost every day concerning the climate crisis. So let's say that the regulation one part, the pressure of the citizens pushes the brands to move. So it's not only an obligation. There's no way to do something else than embracing this new way to work.
Brilliant.
We have no choice now. I mean, everybody knows it.
That's encouraging to hear, and we will keep you in the conversation, but you've mentioned the dear old citizen on a number of occasions, and what better cue to bring in Sylvia Maura from Buke. I'm a citizen. I can't work out whether I'm the king and I'm shaping the change or whether the victim. I think I'm a fashion victim. It passed me by, but just be interested in your role looking at particularly the sustainability side. Where are citizens in all this at the moment?
Yes, thank you, Peter, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For those who do not know us, BEUC is a European umbrella organization for over 40 national independent consumer organizations from over 30 European countries. And our members are in daily contact with consumers. They do opinion surveys, they test products, they help consumers in court. And we have seen that we receive many more questions in recent years from consumers because they are interested to know how they can change in their daily life and become more sustainable. At the end of the day, very often it's not so easy for them because they're also faced with a lot of greenwashing and misleading, unsubstantiated claims out there. And that's why I am very excited as a consumer advocate to know that not only the European Commission is going into the area of eco-design and making it much broader, but is also looking into many accompanying areas that are important, such as giving consumers better information and better rights. And that is something we need to look at together, I think. The problem is that when you ask people what they do already in their daily lives, a lot of people say, I sort my waste, and they believe they are doing good. But when you speak to experts, of course, there are many different things that matter. And for this reason, I think eco-design is so important, and also the sector-specific strategies that the European Commission is looking at for the moment. I arrived in 2007 in Brussels to work on eco-design because I was so much excited that that you can do products better than many of those products are. And I think there's a lot of improvement potential still, in particular when it comes to repairability and longer use times. You had asked the question at the beginning, Peter, is this going to work? And I think eco-design is working for consumers. We are not starting at zero. We are already in the process for very long, and we have already improved, for example, a lot on energy efficiency, which is saving even the equivalent of several power plants in the EU. And eco-design has never been easy. We are looking into things like designing boilers differently, very, very complex products. So we should also not be shy to say that now it's the moment to broaden the criteria and to look at the truly sustainable design of products and not only energy efficiency. We have also the EU Eco Label, which is a label of environmental excellence, which has already life cycle criteria in place for many, many consumer products. And I think it's just important that we scale this up in order to be quick and to make, actually, as Florica said before, we need to make sure the sustainable products are the norm. We cannot stay with these niche products and then labeling a little bit the products of environmental excellence, whereas people are left with this maze of greenwash in other areas. And there I think we are on a good track. So we shouldn't be shy. It's complicated, but if we work together, we have also good chances in getting there.
Right. Interesting. And I know that there is a huge growth in awareness and interest in sustainability issues. We also have a cost of living crisis, and cheap, or, 3 for the price of 1 and all the rest of it, remains something when I'm trying to keep the family together, energy prices going up and all the rest of it. It feels to me that for a large swathe of the population, trying to work out, labels or making the sorts of sustainability choices we'd like just aren't there. I just need to clothe my family, and I need to do it in the cheapest way. And I'm just intrigued as to whether you sense, obviously there is some of the population who's getting this and is demanding change, but there's a vast number for whom just getting through the day, getting through the week is the priority. And in the clothes world, well, that means, I can go for the cheapest. Just interested in that, in your response to that.
Yes, very quick answer to this. We believe that it's basically the vulnerable people that are even in a worse position by short-lasting products, because you are just like buying something, and if you have to buy in 20 years 10 washing machines that last only like 2 years, you pay much more than you have one maybe with a good financing model that you can repair and use very long. So that's also a social aspect there, right, which we need to look at.
Okay, I'd like to bring our third panelist in, Reetaus. You're a well, we call it an ecopreneur. You're really trying to shape and change the whole textile fashion world. Just very interested in your take on what seems to be happening into that transition to circularity and the emphasis on design and product passports. Are you encouraged by what you're seeing, or are you weeping tears because we are going in the wrong direction?
Thank you, and hello. Yes, my background is really fashion design. I'm partly academic, partly running a business, and also years ago we developed a certification scheme together with Stockholm Environmental Institute called UpMade. Everything what we have been talking today is actually already happening, and the thing is, it's of course it's quite small scale, but I would say we know how to do it. We have all the knowledge, we have actually already very good practices, and I would just say like we have to implement it in a bigger scale. For example, our brand called Reetaus, which is like 100% upcycled and recycled brand, we started calculating our product environmental impact already 10 years ago. And for me, it has been really, really surprising how we are still thinking it's so complicated, or we can't still do it, or we have to. It's actually not. It's quite simple. You basically have to go back to your producer and you will get all the information. And it's just to put together like few algorithms and you have it. You have the numbers. We also have the because we are dealing with industrial upcycling, which is 10 years ago when we started, it was completely new thing. We started with something, it was not there in that time. And it was, for me, and again, today we have been talking about research. Of course, we have to do a lot of research. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I'm still in academia, because one point I understood that even the research we started in the huge factory in Bangladesh 10 years ago, and we got amazing results. We had no place to go with these results, and I understood that we actually, to get with the knowledge to the policymakers, you have to go to academic level, to the white paper, for example. And that's exactly how long it takes, the research. Like 10 years ago we started, research carried out like 4 or 5 years. Then it took 3 years to publish the academic paper. It came out half a year ago, and now reading the last document, EU last document, it was finally in there. So it takes more or less 10 years to get actually the practical knowledge into this system here in Brussels. But we don't have such a long time. That's the thing, yeah. And if you go to the production areas, or if you go to Africa, for example, where we send our post-consumer waste, you can see that actually our impact is not in Europe. Our biggest impact actually is in the production areas and in somewhere else.
Thank you. I mean, I'm going to take that as a key message from you, which is get stuck in and get on with it. There is a great danger that we can sort of think and worry and not actually deliver. So that's a very powerful message, and thank you. I'm aware time is not our friend, and just as we're starting to develop a conversation, I hope that conversation is going to take place beyond this conference hall and beyond this streaming. A number of people have sent in great questions and thoughts on Slido. A wonderful moderator, not me, has responded to many of them, but please do add in your question or comment on Slido, and hopefully it will be responded to. And there's some already coming in for you, Pernilla, so that inbox is going to be pinging for the rest of the day. But really, just to close, literally, I would like a one-liner from each of you. If you had a message that you would like to leave ringing in our ears: circular economy, designed to last, sustainable and connected products, getting that urgency, getting that change happening. If you had a distinctive message you'd just like to leave us with, and it's got to be a one-liner, what would that be? So I'm going to start, I don't know why, but I'm going to start with Sylvia.
Thank you. I think the most important thing for me is that this European Commission will continue to work on systematic change and take into account what the European Environment Agency is saying. They are doing a lot of useful work on sustainability transformations, and we need to do that in all areas where we live.
Brilliant. Sylvia, a message to the nation, the world, one-liner coming from you related to this conversation.
Oh, Sandra, sorry.
Oh, did I say Sylvia?
Yes, you did.
Yes,
That's okay.
Forgive me.
I'll have 2 words.
Okay.
Refashion now.
Thank you very much indeed. Great. Did you want another message?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is not to support businesses who are not sustainable, and that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I'm going to come, Jan.
There are many.
It'll happen.
It will happen. It probably will happen. My key message is, let's get on with it. Scalable, defendable, but also, let's not forget, forbiddable, in the sense that we have now to say it needs to stop here, otherwise we never get scale.
Okay. Pernilla.
Evidence-based.
You'll need a microphone.
You need a phone.
Evidence-based policy making, I think, will be my add to all the other wonderful one-liners of what we need to do. But I also would like to invite us to develop the spirit that we will need during the transition, because if we don't have that, we will never make it.
Florica, I leave the final 15 seconds to you.
You put pressure
But
on.
you're a powerful
But,
lady, so you could
okay.
exceed it.
Circularity is really about curbing overproduction and overconsumption. And it helps us to stay within the planetary boundaries, and therefore really addresses all the triple crises that we have to face. So circularity is a tool to really make us sustainable, but also give benefits to everybody.
Thank you very much. My huge thanks to all of you for contributing to the conversation and to the work that you are doing. You are the change makers, and we really appreciate that. My thanks to the audience here and for you who have stayed faithful online. Please do continue to submit those comments, questions online. If they haven't been immediately responded to, that's via Slido, and then there will be important brains looking at them and hopefully offering you a link, a connection, and if all else fails, send an email to Pernille. So that's the message I come. You know, a politician with an open inbox is a precious commodity. We hope that this has just begun to develop an appetite for really a collaborative shift towards what is an exciting future, if only we can see the possibilities and the positive, rather than the difficulties, the challenges inevitably that exist. So if we can create a virtuous circle of collaboration, of ideas and possibility, then maybe we're going to get there slightly faster than Jan maybe fears that we will. We will see. But for now, thank you all very much. And do stay tuned to what is going on in Green Week. There's lots happening. So from me, thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
Everything is connected. Our health, our planet, humanity. Pollution threatens them all. We need to reduce pollution in our soils, water, and air to levels that are not harmful for us and the nature surrounding us. And our work must start now, in the EU and beyond, because pollution knows no borders. Our new zero pollution vision will help us live in a toxic-free environment. And to reach this vision, we have a plan, with targets for 2030 and actions to reach them. We will fight air and noise pollution, improve water and soil quality, and revive damaged natural ecosystems. We will tackle harmful chemicals, pesticides, marine litter, microplastics, and will take actions to cut down our waste production. We will include zero pollution into all policies. Think pollution first. Everyone can act and benefit. Cities, regions, businesses, citizens, investors, and innovators.
Stopping pollution is the wisest choice we can make for a greener and cleaner Europe.